Hey, what's up, y'all? Xander here, coming at you with a new game that just dropped a couple days ago, Hyperscape. This is Ubisoft's intro into the Battle Royale scene, and I think a potential big Battle Royale for 2020 and the future. This game has something that I think some games have, but this just takes the cake. It's got a lot of parkour. And I mean, it just reminds me of something like Dying Light, where you're just running around parkouring over all these different things. I'm going to break this gameplay and break down into a couple different sections. And the first one I want to hit on is the drop in period. So, this is the full drop in period. It took forever and a half to drop in, and this was literally the first drop in, so it was a little rough for me. I was still trying to figure it out. I was dropping in alone, which is great for a first game, but I just felt like it took forever. It didn't seem like I could adjust the speed too much, so it was a little different. Next, into weapons. Weapons were interesting also. I was honestly a little disappointed here. The weapons either seem too weak or the player health is too high. The damage per second was just really low. I was noticing on like a gun like this, the SMG, that you're getting only like 7 damage per hit. And on somebody that's not really a lot of damage, you're just kind of bothering them more than hitting them. So that was kind of problematic. Even with this huge Gatling gun, it didn't really go that quickly. I mean, you see I get some good hits here, and it's only hitting him with like 3 damage before he's able to run off. He maybe received 9 damage total, and then he's running off and going back to his buddy, and I'm getting into some serious trouble. So they also have something in this game called hacks. You might know it as more like abilities in Apex, or some kind of like field drop in Warzone, but basically it's your advantage in this game. It's your ability to pick up these hacks and use them for different things. So coming up in here, I'm going to be using a couple of the different hacks. You already saw me use reveal, which is pretty overpowered, I think. Being able to basically turn on wall hacks and see what's directly in front of you is pretty huge. It actually had a pretty long range too. So when you're getting into some of this trouble, you can do things like put up a wall to give yourself a little bit of time and space between the fight, which helped a lot for me here until they just walked around the wall and decided to still destroy me. By the way, this is going to be more of a death montage, so I hope you guys really like that. So these hacks are really interesting. It's actually pretty different and cool to use. So Afterlife is another huge thing in battle royales. Some games have no afterlife. It's, one and done, classic battle royale kind of rules. This has a different take on Afterlife. So you get into this mode they call Ghost. You are still a player, you're still moving around, you aren't really seen by the enemies, and you are able to actually ping enemies and still kind of move around and get some lay of the land. I think that's a huge help for your team, and I think that is an awesome move on Ubisoft's part to put this in, because not only is it engaging players more and retaining players on your team instead of having them just go, oh, well, I lost and, you have to do this to get me back. They actually stick around, they help out, and I noticed that none of the players I played with actually left during this time. So you can see during this time I'm actually using the Ghost, and I want to put this in because you can see that I'm actually going to ping some players And here's how you revive yourself. So you jump on that activation pad, and then you have a teammate come over and reactivate you. So they come over, and it's basically like healing you. It's definitely a cool take, and I'm kind of excited to try it out some more. So one of the big things that they push with this game is the verticality of the maps and the parkour kind of ability. I noticed that a lot of the players are taking advantage of it right now, and you're getting into a lot of these roof and high structure fights. So it's something definitely a lot different than what you experience in a lot of the other mainstream battle royales. A lot of the other mainstream battle royales, I feel you just have a huge map and you get a bunch of players on there, and you either get into close quarter battles or you're getting into some long range fights. Here, you felt kind of enclosed a little bit more because things aren't spread out as much. So I noticed that it's not really much of a sniping game as it is kind of a mid to short range fighting game. A lot of the guns kind of actually play off this, so some of them use splash damage, and I think that's kind of why they were pushing for lower damage on guns so far. But I think that's something that's going to get tweaked probably coming up here. One of the final sections I'm going to talk about is the final kind of ring that pushes you into where the battle royale is going to go. And that's something that you see in all of the battle royales because they need some kind of way to force you somewhere or to push the fights all together. And that is what they use, this decay. And it's pretty interesting. It took a little bit of time to get used to. As you can see, I was actually running right into the decay, which is probably not a good thing. It's similar to running straight into the gas in Warzone or out into the outside of the circle and anything else, and it's really not advised. The decay also took a second to figure out where it was happening and any type of warning. It gives you an audible warning, and then it actually had a little bit of warning up at the top of your compass, but it wasn't noticeable at all. Actually, during the first couple of games, I just noticed that all of a sudden things were disappearing, and I was wondering why, and I didn't totally understand the concept quite yet. It does make it a little bit more interesting when it is taken away from the outside of the map, because you actually do get that little chance to get in some of those longer range fights. The parkour is just something that absolutely sold me on this game so far, and I think with a little bit of tweaking from Ubisoft, it's gonna be an awesome game. It's definitely got potential for 2020 to be contending against some of the other major battle royales there are out there, and it was refreshing to have something different from the typical grind that I've been working on, so I did enjoy it a fair amount. I think the biggest thing that's going to set this game apart from all the other mainstream battle royales is that parkour ability. I found myself literally playing in the lobby, not actually playing the battle royale, but just seeing what I could do in the lobby with the parkour and messing around with that. And it just was a lot of fun to mess around with. I think as more tweaks start coming out for this game and stuff gets leveled out, especially the weapons, I think this is going to be an awesome game for 2020, and I think this is going to hit huge in the Battle Royale market. Alright guys, well, that's all I have on Hyperscape so far, so I'm going to be trying to jump back into it here in a little bit, so try it out, see what you like. Jump into the beta. This is Xander, heading out.